Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, because October is Cybersecurity Month, I wanted to try and do something a little bit different today, because after 5 years of sitting in this podcast chair, I cover Cybersecurity Month every year, and the figures that I see coming out suggest that most people, and you know who you are still not taking cybersecurity seriously. So today, I wanted to try and give a few actionable tips so that everyone listening can take something from the conversation and maybe make one slight change which could improve your cybersecurity hygiene. And we'll also explore the importance of cybersecurity around cloud migration for business leaders listening and how they can improve their training. But to bring all this to life, I've asked Alana Gilson and Eric Dew from Robust Network Solutions to join me here on Tech Talks Daily. And I want to learn more about some of the things that they're seeing with businesses at this time where many businesses are either 100% remote working or making decisions about coming back into the office or embracing a hybrid office or remote setup. We'll talk about all that and also talk about the decisions that companies need to make about their security and so much more. So enough of me rambling. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with Alana Gilson and Eric Dew from Robust Network Solutions. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes. Hi. How are you? I'm Alana Gilson, and I am the VP of Sales and Marketing at Robust Network Solutions. And we are an IT consultancy here in the Bay Area. And we have partnered with a variety of client verticals in the areas of cybersecurity and cloud services, data backup, disaster, and recovery. And we are an overall technology consultant for about 20 years. And we work as an outsourced option on a project basis or as a full IT consultancy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alana. And Eric, we also have you on the line too. Could you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do there too?
Yeah, Neil, pleasure to be on the show. Thanks so much. I'm a senior engineer at Robust Networks, and it carries a lot of hats: sales engineer, systems engineer. And as Alana said, we focus on the overall business plan of our clients. So we'll plan anywhere from the individual's needs all the way through to a fully public oversight company that needs compliance with SEC, HIPAA, SOX, whatever it is. And we'll take a look at your business in terms of economics, risk, and how you actually want to function and help you achieve that within your decision points.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about what you're doing at Robust right now. But before we do, something I always try and do with every guest that comes on here is learn a little bit more about your origin story, where your passion for technology came from, and ultimately what put you on this path to Robust Network Solutions. So, Alana, would you like to go first?
I would. Thank you. I actually have had an awesome opportunity over the years to ride the technology wave in digitizing content in the publishing industry over the last couple of decades. And in the last 10 years, I worked as an executive managing revenue and monetization for global mobile apps, which, at the time, they weren't just becoming regulated. So I got to work with a lot of global exchange partners and experience as a business on the business side, the various pockets of internet fraud around the world. And I waded through these regulations while managing this global inventory and learning how to put out fires and basically work with our internal teams to be proactive in, detecting internet fraud on the client side. And that's really what sparked my interest in furthering my career and learning about how to be proactive as a business with regards to cyber crimes, and how I ended up on the managed service provider side here at Robust.
What a great story. Love that, Alana. And Eric, it was a complete coincidence that I decided to put a NASA t-shirt on today. And before we started recording, you said, hey, I used to work at NASA. So I've got to ask, can you share your origin story?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a pretty varied one. I actually started it out after undergrad in interior architecture. And you can imagine, how do I go from that to networks and business systems? Yeah. I was more inspired by creating digital environments that actually enabled people, whether it was architects or communication between businesses. And that was back in the time when AutoCAD design houses were just getting started. I've taught at the BAC in Boston. And then I just went with it. I decided to make a change completely and drop the design side and move into networks and systems. Got my credentials, and over time, I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast and loved the San Francisco Bay Area. Had some great opportunities out here. I ended up getting my master's in project management a while back. And yeah, I had a great few years at NASA Ames and worked on the LCROSS mission, which was the Lunar Crater Observing Sensing Satellite, and built out the command and control. We had a small team of people there. Interconnects between Ames, JPL, and other NASA sites. A great insight into amazing teams doing things on budgets, and that hits a lot of decision points that all businesses that we focus on can benefit from. It's what are your decision points as a business, and how can we help you craft that into enabling your people? So yeah, there's a lot of other backstory there, but in the end, it all comes together, and I love being able to talk to people about making their lives easier, not more complicated.
I feel somewhat of a fraud, though, now, because you've done all the hard work at NASA, and it's me that got the T-shirt.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing them all around. And I mean, you can't go wrong with anyone who loves to promote NASA. It's such a great environment. They do amazing projects. And I've never met a bad person at NASA. Everyone has always great attitudes and insights.
Love that. And here in 2021, I've invited you on here to talk about robust network solutions. And there will be a lot of people listening to the podcast today all over the world hearing about you guys for the first time. So can I ask that you set the scene and tell the listeners a little bit more about the kind of problems that you're solving for your customers with tech?
Yeah, it's really the full range of what people are trying to accomplish individually or as a business. We really focus on trying to align your business goals, whether it's just, how do I communicate with other people via email, via files, via how do I make that secure? What are the risks that you want to mitigate as your business? What's my risk with going onto the internet? What's my risk with communicating with people, with having certain devices? And then a lot of the problems that we're seeing, especially with COVID and the times we live in, is you have this huge base of people who are now working remotely, and maybe they don't benefit directly from being in the office and having people, but we still see the same problems of, do you have secure logins? Are your people trained to know what to look for? Do you have processes in place to help them in that process? So it's really, in the end, always about the people, and how do you enable those people to be smarter and to work more effectively? And we see a lot more attacks in terms of phishing and social manipulation over the last year and a half, especially because people are slightly more isolated. If they're working from home, you can't just pop your head up or walk around the corner and talk to people. Having a wall of even just opening Zoom or Teams and trying to reach out to people is one extra click in people's lives. And you find that that one extra click means people might not do it. We're creatures of habit, and we're creatures of convenience. and trying to educate your people and accommodate them is really what technology is all about.
It really is. And I remember reading a quote, it must have been about 7 or 8 years ago now, from IBM, and they said that the last great experience you have anywhere becomes the standard expectation for every future experience. And of course, we're now living in this world of one-click checkouts and Netflix, where you can go from your phone to your tablet to your laptop without any friction at all. And like you say, more than that one click is going to cause problems. But with everything online now, and as it's October, and one of the reasons I invited you on today is it's Cybersecurity Month. So I'm curious, are there any trends that you're seeing around the importance of cybersecurity right now in this always online digital world and hybrid working that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, Cybersecurity Month. Man, I wish everyone actually paid attention to these types of highlights because everyone can benefit from focusing on security a little bit. It's something that nobody really wants to do, but it's such a big part of our lives. We all have cell phones, we all have computers, maybe tablets. We're all trying to work and just be functional. But I was just mentioning, one of the biggest things we see is phishing attempts. Viruses are always out there. Yes, you can put antivirus software on. Sure, there's one avenue mostly covered, but it's the social manipulation and phishing in emails that look legitimate, but there's always a telltale sign somewhere. So what we see is that's successful. People miss that it came from a fraudulent sender. They miss that maybe it looks like it came from your bank, and you think you trust it because you trust Wells Fargo, Chase, whomever it is. You click through and enter your username and password, and now these people have access to that. And you'll find the smart ones don't necessarily use your information right away. They gather your information and then manipulate the next level of people that you're connected with. So this really gets to, again, what is the focus? It's the people. Are you training your people in your business to pay attention to the telltale signs of phishing attempts? If not, you should be. If you're an individual, there's plenty of courses and classes online and YouTube videos that you can go and check out and go, what should I be aware of in a phishing attempt? What are the signs? How can I protect myself? Because we can install software and apps and things and we think we're covered. But unless you're actually paying attention to what's coming into your inbox and what's coming into your life, you're not going to be trained to understand what to look for. And that is the biggest issue that we see across the board. Phishing attempts and emails and people not being trained and understanding what to look for.
And Alana, from the conversations that you're having with your many, many customers out there, are you noticing any trends around businesses taking it more seriously, especially around training, etc., and our boardrooms taking it seriously? Are you seeing any changes there?
No, definitely. I mean, we have definitely had new client inquiries and concerns about ransomware and cybersecurity, not only with, again, new clients, but our current clients who have expanded their relationships with us because, the news, what we're seeing in the news. I mean, it's everything from new technologies and devices. For example, the IoT industry, we're all seeing these things and reading about it every day where, whether it's a fitness app or a baby monitor device or the device that's monitoring your home temperature. The various mobile devices are always a concern. The cryptocurrencies and the emergence of ransomware have made it easier for criminals, to commit crimes and get away with it. And I think clients, businesses are becoming more savvy to that. So yes, I definitely hear this a lot. And especially now, during Cybersecurity Month, I'm excited that we have the opportunity to talk about this because, yes, it is definitely a growing concern with our, like I said, our client base, as well as new clients that are interested in hearing more and consulting with us.
And if we go back, 18 months, the whole world was suddenly forced to work from home at scale. But now things have changed completely, and many businesses are planning either 100% remote work or making decisions about coming back to the office and a hybrid office remote setup. So the reality is we can work from any device anywhere at any time and be location agnostic. But of course, when we're working from home, again, a couple of years ago, our home routers may have had a handful of devices, a couple of smartphones and a couple of computers, but now we have digital assistants, smart homes, smart heating, smart entertainment. Even toasters are coming with an always connected to the internet now. So there's so much to think about. So Eric, how is this affecting decisions companies need to make about their security? Because there is so much to think about now, isn't there?
Yeah, and you're right. We were pretty much forced to be remote if you could.
Yeah.
And coming back to the office, the scenario tends to be the same. And I think the decision is more of a culture decision on, do you bring people back to the office because that's more effective in terms of what jobs they're performing in your business? Or do you keep them remote? And, the current pandemic aside, because that overlays a whole bunch of other issues and decision points. But it's really, you're going to be focusing on the same things in terms of security. Because coming back to the office, I love it because I like a business culture. I like being near people that that have similar alignments that I can effectively work with. And that face-to-face connection to me just makes my day better. That's part of why I'm doing this, is to help people directly with their technology decisions. And there are things we can all do, whether we're remote or in the office, whether you're a single person at home, small business, or a corporation with, hundreds or thousands of people in the office. It's, there's some key points of, do you have multi-factor authentication turned on? Are you using cloud services, and how? If you're in the office, what is your business infrastructure? Do you have security devices in place, the systems to accommodate all of your people within an office? It's the decision points are the same, remote or at home. And if you're at home, most people don't have, say, a special firewall with services that are looked at and tracked. Most people have a router from your internet provider, which can be okay if you have other systems in place. So it's really about, where's your risk and have you mitigated it in any way? And if you're associated with a business, how are you looking at people's risk when they're at home versus in the office? And I would love to see everyone come back just as a culture perspective, because I think we lost a lot of human connection because of the pandemic and trying to stay safe.
I completely agree with you. And that human connection is paramount to everything. And as I said a few moments ago, it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And Alana, you mentioned a few moments ago about some of the conversations that you're hearing and how businesses are taking it more seriously. But are there any trends in the type of questions that are coming directly to you about cybersecurity from your customers?
Yes, for sure. One of the questions that we always have to deal with as a consultant is budget. And I feel like, we work with both small and medium businesses, but we have grown startups to become enterprise companies. But in that process, there's always a concern of, smaller implementations that are less expensive and basically what we call patchwork solutions. And unfortunately, it opens up vulnerabilities inadvertently. They obviously don't realize that making these choices aren't always the best. And cyber attackers have become increasingly sophisticated, and outdated or inefficient systems are very easy targets. So, these are questions that we get a lot, and concerns on both sides, because, we have to obviously assist our clients in making these decisions that are going to be safest and cost efficient for them down the road.
Yeah, and if I may, we've also seen a lot more interest from companies to talk about security, to talk about, how can I help protect my email? How can I protect against phishing attacks? How can I help to against ransomware. One of the unfortunate things is everyone has seen in the news more notices about ransomware and high-profile businesses being attacked and held for millions of dollars. And thankfully, though, a lot of people listen to that and they come to us, and some are proactive, some are reactive. Unfortunately, a lot of what we see is a reactionary standpoint. Something's happened, they've lost some money, now they're waking up to go, the policies we have in place for whatever reason, and Alana was right, it's always an economic baseline. How does the economics affect my business? If my current scenario, I feel comfortable, regardless of where I'm at in terms of security profile, I'm going to keep operating that way until something happens. And that's a standard business operation procedure, unfortunately. What I do like seeing is a lot of C-level people coming to us and saying, well, what can we do? Where are we at? What's the cost going to be? And it's up to us to give them all the answers, to say, hey, here's how you can protect your email. Here's how you can train your users, whether you're using something like a proof point security training, which tests them, sends fraudulent emails to your employees, and you'll find out who's clicking and why. And then you can train them on that. Things are automated so that you can roll this out to everybody. Do you have multi-factor authentication in place? Do you have your systems encrypted? Do you have a mobile device management set up? And all of that does come at a cost point. And this is the interesting thing to me about the attacks. The high-profile ones are typically stuff, like I said, ransomware. You can get away with that as a business plan if you live in countries where you can't be extradited. Make you a lot of money, but it obviously is illegal and a problem. And I know it gets investigated. I've seen some things pass through that gets handed off to government agencies. And the best way to protect yourself from those things is to have great systems in place, whether it's backups, whether it's your duo multi-factor authentications. And the most difficult part is still, even after educating people and businesses, being the change agent to put the energy and resources rolling. Because a lot of what we still see is you may have these talks and you may educate the business and the decision makers, but actually getting someone to pull the trigger and sign off on getting the work done so that they're spending less overall. And I say that because if you get attacked, you will spend a lot of money either recovering from the attack, whatever type it is, or paying those attackers off because you see that as a quicker, lower cost to functioning. And I say that because you can see articles in the news, high-profile companies paying tens of millions of dollars because to them, that's the cheapest path back to a functional operation. And these attackers know it. They've already profiled your business. They've already set a price point that they know is more comfortable for you. So if you don't have the systems and risk reduction in place, you're probably going to end up paying that. So we like to approach and be the change agents for companies to set you up for success rather than having to make that decision in a time of stress.
That's such a great point, because I think after the events of the last 18 months, many businesses are challenged with doing more with less. And the ROI of every new tech project is becoming under close scrutiny. So I'm curious, bearing in mind everything you've just said, do business leaders and boardrooms get the ROI of cybersecurity and adopting that proactive approach rather than wait until something goes wrong and reacting and throwing money at it then?
Yeah, I would say as a whole, most of them get it. And most of the conversations we have lead to services and habits that can be changed. Like anything, there's always a certain percentage of people who, no matter how much you inform them, how much you show that it's going to save you money in the long run, even though your monthly costs may increase because you have these extra services, some people still will not pull the trigger until they have had an attack and they feel the pain. So it's really our job to turn it around and try and get you to be proactive, to try and make these smart decisions, so that we are saving you money. And that's probably the number one hardest thing to do, is to make the change in the economic decision points, so that people are being proactive and safe, rather than waiting and reacting, as we all do in all aspects of our lives. Most of us are reactionary, and getting us to be proactive about things takes energy and focus.
And Alana, presumably that you're seeing exactly the same thing out there right now.
I absolutely agree, Eric. Without a doubt, that's definitely one of the biggest hurdles that we have as IT consultants, is, laying out a roadmap of all to me, they're all needs. They are needs. And it's the roadmap that we lay out that is the hardest to get approved. And it's all based on, what a client is really willing to risk over the spend, for sure.
We will have people listening all over the world. And I think, as it's Cybersecurity Month, it would be great to leave people with a bit of a takeaway on what they can do to reduce their risk as a basic user. So I'll throw this one at both of you. But Eric, from your point of view, what would be the best advice you would offer on how someone listening could reduce their risk?
Yeah, there's a few things that everybody could do across the board, whether you're a high school student or small business or a corporation, right? So we all have the same problems. Multi-factor authentication. If you have an email account, turn on your multi-factor authentication. It's really easy to do, and that's number one. If someone else in some other country or some other system logs into your account, you'll get a notice, and they won't get in. That's the best way to protect yourself, because that's how most of us work. Whether it's in Microsoft Office, whether it's in Google, whether it's in Apple, multi-factor authentication. The other is, antivirus software. I would call that a requirement, and you can choose based on your needs, whether it's a free version or a paid version, whether you need the management. Highly recommended across the board. And then the two others, which start to become habit changing. One would be encrypting your systems. Is your hard drive encrypted? Are you in a high risk environment that you need that? Meaning, do you have financial data, trade secrets, whatever it is? If your laptop, if you forget it at Starbucks, and next thing you know, you walk out the door and you hop in your car and you're like, forgot my laptop. It happens. Well, someone could pull the drive out and scan it and get all the information off of it, unless it was encrypted. So that would be a great option as well. And the last, highly recommend to everyone, use a password management solution. I'm a fan of LastPass. There's a bunch of them out there, but we see a lot of people storing passwords in ways that are not secure and not convenient. And using a password app like that gives you convenience across all your devices and a very secure location to store them. So these are things everybody could do: MFA, antivirus, encrypted drives, and password apps. And that would protect you 99% of most of the issues we see.
Fantastic advice, Eric. I'm a LastPass user myself. I put it off for a long time, but I would never go back now. So great advice there. And Alana, anything that you would like to add on there or echo Eric's sentiments?
Eric, I'm definitely echoing your sentiment. I think you hit all of the buttons on that one for sure.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining me on Cybersecurity Month and an episode dedicated to that. But before I let you go, I always like to have a little bit of fun with my guests as we come full circle at the end of the interview. We started talking about your origin story and how you got on this path you're on today in your career in technology. But I'm now going to ask you, what was the soundtrack to that journey and career? Is there a song that has accompanied you throughout that journey, or just helps you get your head in the zone before going in a meeting or going on stage? And Alana, I'm going to throw this one at you first.
I struggled trying to, just think about this for a second here, but I'd have to say when the world is running down by the police, Sting is definitely iconic, that's for sure. And he's always inspired me personally and professionally. But this particular song refers to so many forms of tech communication. And while it's a classic and we've evolved, technologically, it still reminds us to try to repurpose as much as we can. But not to the detriment of, how we need to stay ahead of the curve. So tech is definitely important in keeping it updated. But it's a great song.
It really is a great song. It's one of those that I'd forgotten about. So I'm looking forward to rediscovering that one. And Eric, over to you. Do you have a song and a story for us?
Yeah, the one that stands out for me is a 2005 album by a band called Ringside. The song is called Struggle. And yes, the title says it all. It's a great upbeat song, but technology is a struggle. And it's a struggle getting people educated and being the change agent to make them better in their technology lives. And to me, that says it all. You need the energy. You're focused on being that change agent and pushing through things. And that sums up technology and trying to get people to have better habits.
Wow, another cool choice. You guys don't mess around. Two great choices. I'll add them both to the Spotify playlist. But before I let you go, for anyone listening wanting to find out more about Robust Network Solutions, they want to contact your team, maybe they've got a few questions about anything we covered today. What's the best starting point?
Yeah, no, Robust Network Solutions is on all social channels, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find us at robustnetworks.com.
Fantastic. I feel we've covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time today. But as Eric said just a few moments ago, multi-factor authentication, antivirus, encryption, and a password management service. If you start with that, you'll be much better as October progresses and feel like you've actually done something during this Cybersecurity Month. But more than anything, just a big thank you to both of you for coming on here, sharing your story and for your time today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
What a great conversation there. And I do genuinely hope to meet Alana and Eric one day, now that the travel corridor is opening up between the UK and US in November, I believe. So maybe, just maybe, there will be a return of tech conferences next year to make that happen. But right here in October 2021, it's Cybersecurity Month. And I want you to make a pledge to make one security change to improve your cybersecurity hygiene. Will it be finally adopting a password manager or adding MFA to your email and social accounts? Or are you going to add training to your employees to reduce phishing and ransomware attacks? Whatever it is, please let me know. I'm going to be your accountability partner. Let me know what you're going to do. And hopefully we can ensure that everybody listening to this podcast makes at least one positive change during Cybersecurity Month. People say I'm a dreamer, but hey, I'm not the only one. But seriously, I want to hear your thoughts, opinions, questions, insights, whatever it may be. My inbox and DMs are open to you all. So techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram at Neil C. Hughes. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. But that's it for today's episode. I'll return again tomorrow, bright and early. I'll be waiting silently in your podcast feed. But a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.